Welcome to day 10. I am Sophia Worrell, and today we will continue to put this puzzle together after we have spent the last couple of days dissecting the problem that we of African descent face. So, Solomon, the wisest man that ever lived, told us in Proverbs chapter 6, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest." It is interesting that by observing people, animals, and vegetation around us that we can learn so much. There is much information placed in books that draw our attention to life around us. What is to occur is that we are to stop ourselves from what we are doing and make a concerted effort to stay still and watch what is happening around us. The problem is that life has to stop us instead of us stopping ourselves. Young people of African descent look around and see that there's a certain lifespan. We come into this world and we leave. If we're lucky, we may live to see our 100th birthday. If we're not, our lives are cut short. But there isn't anyone living for 200 or 300 years. That means that there is a certain time allotted to us on this earth. We start out as helpless babies. From the moment of conception, when the sperm of the man swims up that channel and connects with the egg of the woman, life starts. It takes 9 months for the baby to form and for organs and limbs to develop. No child will stay in the womb indefinitely. They're growing and have to come out at some point. There's a period for them to lay helpless, and parents have to be responsible for their children and to fulfill every need. But they're not babies forever. Eventually, they will have to learn to walk and talk and use the bathroom on their own. The laws of the land require that all children attend school. Each stage of growth comes with some kind of identification. From fetus to baby to toddler to young child, each phase is necessary in the preparation for adulthood. As the child grows and develops, they are slowly released from the need for parents to totally monitor them. As teenagers, adolescents, and young adults, less supervision is needed, and children are learning to balance the need for parents against their own ability to make sensible choices. God has given us leeway to use His model for living and expand on it. By following His commandments, men came up with laws to run the land and govern people. The game of life has its own rules that must be followed. All of this must be taught in the home first. It is the duty of the father to inform children of what is expected of them in the world of school and later the world of work. Mother has done her job by starting the process of reading and having open dialogue with the child, and now it is up to the father to assist that child as they are venturing out. This is where another kind of mentoring is done. Just as there are time limits for living and stages that humans go through, there's a system that children must be aware of as they develop their gifts, skills, talents, and abilities side by side with how they are growing. The system is one that is layered. It is interesting to watch ants and how they operate. They're very well organized, and in their movements, they always connect with other ants as they go about their duties. I have spoken about the family unit and the position that the child is born into, which sets the stage for the responsibility that that child will undertake. We jeopardize children's ability to function in the world when we do not set up the family structure in a way that would facilitate this process. Life is going to happen to us whether we are ready or not. In order to have a fighting chance, we of African descent must set our children up for success. We as mothers have to stimulate their minds by reading to and with them, and we must expose them to all kinds of experiences so that they can be persons of action. This is done by the father helping to facilitate that process. There's a lot of information that children will read in their storybooks and textbooks, and it is up to the father to take these children out on expeditions to explore this vast universe so that children can test and take risks. I believe that this is another point in which we can participate in another exercise. So, exercise 4. Whose responsibility is it to expose children to the world? Again, you can pause the video and you can come back when you've answered the question. So we can look at this from different angles. A male and a female have sexual intercourse and a woman becomes pregnant. If she does not terminate that pregnancy, it will go full term. Who's the one that has to nurse the baby and raise the child? We would expect that the female would be the one to do so, but she cannot become pregnant without the input of the male. So this makes him just as responsible for the child as well. The challenge is that parents have the first part figured out, but have not given enough thought on the remaining part. If you were not aware of this then, you are now. Each child must be helped to be industrious, and it's important to note that the early part of the child's life is where the mother does most of the work. She's gentle and teaches the child manners, hygiene tips, and rules for etiquette along with reading. She's a nurturer. Now her role as teacher, nurse, maid, and advisor has to be balanced with the rough and tumble aspect that dad will bring. Let's look at the game of life. Like ants, human beings come into contact with many different types of people, and children must be able to deal with all of these personalities. Fathers must be there to help guide children as they encounter the harsh realities of life. Children are protected by mothers in one way and shielded by fathers in another. And it is crucial that the father takes them out to explore their surroundings in the safety of his protection to start. They watch how he handles situations, and they learn that there are very good things in the world and there are also evil things that occur. Parents must stay the course and allow children to build their confidence and self-esteem through their sheer determination to remain a couple in the wake of hardships and in the marriage and in their daily lives. It is a broken home that causes us of African descent to break under pressure. So let's look quickly at the solution to the black problem. You may be wondering why I have been referring to us as people of African descent. And it is because that is who we are. All of us have origins in a country, not in a color. At some point, someone told us that we were black, and we have never questioned what that means. I want to address that now, because in reading and going to school, we will understand that an adjective before a noun carries a certain type of meaning. I am not a black person. I am a human being who is called by a name. Allow me to dispel this negative connotation. An adjective describes or modifies, that is, they limit or restrict the meaning of nouns or pronouns. To modify means to make partial or minor changes to something, typically to either improve or to make it less extreme. And to describe means to give an account in words of someone or something, including all the relevant characteristics, qualities, or events. In other words, what message is being sent when I hear the word person? I have no preconceived idea of the individual. My mind is automatically open to the information. However, when I say white person or black person or disabled person or Asian person or any other description, good or bad feelings begin to arise. The solution is that we must take color from before who we are, as it limits us in the sight of others and especially ourselves. I recommend that we maintain that we are either children of God, people of African descent, or be called by our names. There are many of us of African descent that are now being stereotyped with those who act barbaric and unintelligent. Their thug-like behavior is not what we want represented of our culture anymore. Because this is not God's way, it is not the American way, and it is time to build a culture that is peaceful, loving, and kind. Thank you.